Action.
All right, Danny.
What's up?
Is this episode 8?
I don't know.
I think it's episode 8 of Sent to the Office, otherwise known as Adventures of Tremendous Fat Ass.
And his fat ass dog. We thought about adding that at one point.
Fat ass dog. But my fat ass dog will not come down here. I don't know if you recall, but the last episode.
I have a theory on that.
Okay, well let me explain to our listeners the background here because, the last episode, you recall Merp came up and put her head here, and she made an appearance in
That's
our podcast.
the other dog.
The other dog, Merp,
Let's
my
explain things here.
pup.
They may not have saw
She's a
episode
lab
7.
Australian cattle dog mix, and yeah. Oh yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, I don't want to get myself in trouble here.
I
But,
know.
so she came up here, but the other dog, Paco, who I've talked about, from Mexico, born in Mexico. He's from a third world country, and he's thankful every day of his life that he's in the land of the free. Will not come down here. He will not come in the basement. He's been alive and lived in our house for 7.5 years.
And he's a den creature.
Yes, but he won't come down here.
Here's my theory.
Okay, I want to hear it.
Remember, he was rescued at some construction site.
Yes.
Some of his siblings didn't even survive. I'll bet they were down inside a basement-looking thing.
Right, and he
And
still
he's
has
got that, yeah.
little puppy brain.
Yep.
I think it's because he senses evil, and there's evil spirits down
Could
here.
be.
But
I don't sense it.
nope. But it's hard to say. But yeah, so Paco won't come down here. 7.5 years. We did carry him down here once because there was a tornado warning, and he sprinted his fat ass right up the stairs as quick as he possibly could, like he shot a starter's pistol.
That's when you know, like, the sirens, I'm assuming, were going off. He hears the sirens. You can
He
imagine.
howls when when the sirens go off.
And he ran towards that.
right.
He's like, fuck this basement.
I'd rather die on my feet or than on my back. I don't know what I'm saying there, but yeah, he doesn't want to be down here, Dan. Oh, Paco, he's a peculiar creature. So, anyway, maybe he thinks ICE is down here.
ISIS?
ICE, just ICE, not ISIS. The immigration
okay.
organization.
Yeah.
I don't know. Thinks we're trying to trick him, and they're gonna, deport his ass out of here. I don't know. Anyway.
Paco's safe.
Yeah, he's a good boy. So, anyway, so here we are.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you noticed this, Danny, but I'm drinking a Lazy Magnolia Southern Pecan beer, which is brewed on the Gulf Coast of Mississippi and only distributed in 4 states. Not this state.
Not this one.
But my brother-in-law, Clint.
Isn't that what was on the refrigerator when Beck hit it?
That's exactly what was on the refrigerator when Beck hit it. My brother-in-law, Clint, went to Alabama. And
Glacier Mist.
I really doubt that that's Glacier Mist. I mean, how would they bottle that? Dan?
Anyway,
That's just
back
dumb.
to your beer story.
But yeah, whatever. So, we went on vacation to Mississippi several times. That's where I kind of got hooked on this. And my brother-in-law brought me a couple of 6-packs from Alabama, and I appreciate that. But yeah, we had a good time down in
good
Mississippi.
memories. A lot of good memories.
A lot of good memories. The last year we were there was
I don't know.
2013 or 14.
Whatever you say is, I'll agree with
Yeah,
you.
I'm just throwing it out there. I have no idea. But
You know what I miss? One of the things I miss most about Mississippi, and we've got to go back and see him, is old Earl.
Robert Earl McDaniel, the greatest boat captain that ever lived.
Yes, and specifically the way he talked, Joe. I like the way old Earl talked.
Earl just silky smooth the way he talked.
Silky smooth.
I like the way he talked. I like the way he talked. You like the way I talk.
I respect his fishing skills too, to be honest
Which
with
is
you.
saying something because I know you, Dan, and there's not many people in the world that you would respect their fishing skills.
Oh.
But
Yeah, Earl's good. So if you ever make it down to Mississippi, Earl's what's his business name?
Whippersnapper.
Whippersnapper.
Yep. And he's a
can
Facebook
see-
friend of mine, and I think is yours. There's a chance he might hear this.
Earl, you're the bomb.
I'll tag him when I share this on Facebook so he can hear us give him a plug for his business, and maybe he'll remember that the next time we come down there. He'd probably let us.
We never went fishing with Earl and didn't catch fish.
I know.
I've been on plenty of fishing where you pay to go fish
Right.
and not caught fish.
Right.
So, I mean,
Yep. You know, the
Can't
thing
go
about
wrong.
Earl that I know the first time that
No
you and
pressure, Earl.
first time that we went, it was just you and I, and he immediately, I could tell, relaxed when he saw your skills, not mine, because I'm not much of a fisherman. But you realized what kind of dipshits he takes out on his boat every day.
Yeah, I'm aware. Like, I mean, I've had some of that experience. I can.
Because
I'm
are
just
you,
saying, I can
are you
empathize.
referring to me?
What? No, not you.
Well, I was just actually, I was talking to Marta about this because, you know, for old Earl, in the beginning, that was a dream.
Yeah.
I'm going to get a boat and I'm going to fish for a living. But just like every dream, it becomes a job. after a
Katrina
while.
came and took a big giant shit on me.
did a big giant shit on the old whippersnapper, and he had to get a new
Can you
whippersnapper.
imagine?
But you know, I was just thinking how awesome that job probably was for him initially, until he brought it. You know, every day he'd have some new dipshit that come on the board and wouldn't know how to fish or wouldn't respect his rules, or you know, got too drunk and he's worried they're gonna fall over and drown, or you know, and then after a while it's like, you think he wakes up in the morning and goes, oh shit, I gotta take some jackasses from Iowa out on the fishing boat, and it became a job. Or do you think he still loves it?
I think he probably has some of those days, maybe if he doesn't feel good, but for the most part,
He's still living it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I just got that sense from
That's
him.
what you like. You know, that's what you wanted. That's why I respect Earl. One of the many reasons is silky smooth voice, and the fact that he's doing what he loves to do, man.
Yeah.
And he makes great food. Have you noticed on Facebook how he posts delicious meals?
Oh yeah.
Always featuring some sort of fish, of
Yep.
course. Right. So, yeah, Mississippi is always a good time, buddy.
Yeah.
You know.
And we're trying to remember if we had any scary stories at Mississippi, you know, because it is Halloween.
Right.
I thought of a scary moment.
Okay.
You know, you said when the last time was. I know one of the first times you had one rule for Beck, and I don't even know how old he
He
would
was
have been.
probably 8, 7 maybe.
I feel like it was more like 7, but
Okay,
the
could've been
one
earlier.
rule was to stay off the dock or stay away from the water.
Right, right.
And I think we'd been there, you know, an hour, and we heard the splash.
That's right, and he went under the dock. And of course, I went to automatic freak out mode
Freak
because that
out
is my
mode.
worst night. Well, A, I don't like the water much.
No,
I
you
don't like
don't.
the water much. So, yeah, I think I had to reach down and fish him out of the water.
Noodled him.
What are you doing? But, yeah,
That was a scary moment. What else?
that was a scary moment. You know,
You see, you have different memories from Mississippi.
Yeah, I
You have
do.
childhood.
yeah,
and then, of
yeah.
course, our
yeah, we
vacation.
lived in, well, one of our listeners actually asked us if we would talk about, you know, it's Halloween time, the 3 scariest movies we've ever seen. And maybe rather than a movie, one of the scariest stories, you know, is tied to that movie, because when I was 11 and I lived in Gulfport, Mississippi, on number 1 Otto Lane, that was our address, number 1.
Number one.
We're in the first house, a little cinder block house on a canal, and it was the year that The Exorcist was first shown on network TV, and I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it because A, I was about 11, too young for that. B, kids probably laugh at it now, but at the time that was the scariest movie ever. Now I think it still stands up a little bit. But when you watch it now and versus movies today with CGI and all the other effects that they have, you know, it's a little. But at the time, in 1980, that was horrible.
I think it's scary as F now.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
At the time, it was
kind of movie.
nightmare
It
inducing.
doesn't need special effects to be scary. I mean, to this day. But go ahead.
It's horrifying.
I've got my own.
No,
Exorcist
it's you know,
story.
and so I would say that is probably the scariest movie I've ever seen, just because of how much trauma it caused me when I was young. And this movie's on Channel 5 or whatever network it was, and you know, my mom, you know, warned me, Joel, we're gonna watch this movie tonight, and you should probably go to your room. And so I, you know, okay, Mom, sure. And, you know, and I'm in my room, and I don't know how much time has passed. I'm listening to, you know, the radio. And you remember back in the old days when you listened to the radio and you'd have a cassette tape in your radio, and you'd have it, record,
Yep.
play, and pause on there.
Yep.
And so that's what I was probably doing back
Right.
there, listening to the
Trying
radio.
to get the right song.
Yep. WQID was the station I listened to, by the way. That just came to me.
Really weird, but
Yeah. I think 102 WQID. So I'd listen to the
they
song.
probably said it like that too. Say it one more time, radio voice.
Radio. WQID, rock and roll, Gulf Coast, Mississippi. Yeah, I don't know.
I think you got it.
So I'm back there and I'm pressing pause, and you miss the first 7 or 8 seconds of the song, but you got it recorded. And suddenly I just forget why I'm back there. And so I open the door and I'm walking down the hall, and I probably had a hearing problem then too, not quite as bad as what it is now. And I'm like, hey Mom, can we do whatever? I asked her some question, and is it okay that I come in? And my older brother, John, who's passed away, was 2 years older than me, and he enjoyed torturing me every night. We shared a room. In fact, we shared a bed because we were, didn't have any money. He's like, yeah, Joel, it's over. Come on in. And I walked out of the living room just as she did the, and her head is turning around, and I'm, oh my God. I watched that, and I could not take my eyes off it. And he's watching me watch it. And my mom's, what are you doing in here, Joel? Get out of here. And I'm frozen. And it was the worst thing I'd ever seen.
And how old were you?
About 11. And so, of course, for the next year, I would hear that at night. We'd be in bed going to sleep, and I'd be almost asleep, and I'd hear my brother go, and I'm like, John, I'm going to beat the fuck out of you. And he would just giggle, and we would usually end up fighting, and then my mom would, you guys shut up in there and go to bed, and he would just giggle because he thought it was the funniest thing ever. But yeah, that would probably be the number one scariest movie for me.
I don't want to Tommy top you, but
No.
I literally just figured this out the other night because I was teasing my youngest daughter about I was going to make her watch a scary movie with me.
Okay.
My mom said something, and I go, it's not like I'm going to make her watch The Exorcist with me, Mom. And I just knew I had seen The Exorcist at some point in my childhood.
Yeah.
My mom goes, oh, I was so pissed at your father for that. I worked nights back then.
Big George let you watch The Exorcist?
My dad. Now, I go, because my mom said she worked nights and she was angry with my father. And I go, well, who ran out of the room when she threw up? And my dad goes, that was probably the babysitter. Now, that was when I lived. Remember when you asked me, what was I if I was part South Sider, part East Sider? And I said, what I said.
Well, yeah.
I moved away from Kirkwood after first grade. So
Okay.
it was somewhere between first grade and before where I watched The Exorcist.
That's a little bit too young.
Yeah, and then grew, and I'm Catholic. I mean, does things starting to make sense
Yeah,
now?
right.
And of course, what I say at the dinner table with everybody, I go, well, that's kind of weird. What was the babysitter still doing there, Papa?
Big George have a smoke.
I don't know. But yeah, it was a different time for parenting, man. Jeez.
Oh, The Exorcist was so scary.
Oh, man.
I would definitely put that at the top. And now I'm not scared by movies anymore. It's a very rare movie. There have been some scary movies released the last 5 years, and none of them have scared me except for one, The Conjuring. Has some scary moments. It has some jump scares. So I would say The Conjuring was a very good scary movie, but it's also there's some religion theme in there.
Right.
There's something about that is a little scarier for me.
Yeah, I've been off the scary movie bus for a long,
Yeah, I'm
long
not
time.
on there. Quinn's on the scary movie bus.
You've seen, just the fact that you've seen whatever The Conjuring, I haven't seen that.
You haven't seen The Conjuring?
No.
You should try it.
No, because, see, it would scare me, and when I get scared, I get pissed off. You know what I mean?
I do.
I walk out in the woods by myself a lot in the dark. I
Yeah.
don't need that stuff.
No.
Don't bring that evil on me,
No,
Ricky
no.
Bobby. Don't you put that on me.
Yeah, there's something. I will say that my brother, by scaring me all the time, he basically conditioned me to not be so scared of that
Oh,
stuff.
so he did you a favor.
Yeah, so after years and years of trauma and bad dreams,
Based on that logic, my
Yeah.
dad is a goddamn genius father.
oh my god, yeah, it reminds me, and we have a lot of listeners, Dan, who I knew through the Upward Bound program.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember one summer, I believe it was summer of 1991. Okay. And I was an Upward Bound counselor. And, my job, there were like 8 or 10 of us college guys. And our jobs at night were basically to babysit about 70 high school boys in a dormitory. So think about that logic right there. I mean, but there were dorm parents who we were all scared to death of, Art and Diane Alt. Well, we were scared of Diane. Diane was awesome. I hope they listen to this, by the way. They are also Facebook friends. We were all scared of Art, and I don't know why. Now I'm looking back on it. I don't know why. He's a little guy. He didn't seem particularly scary, but he was very good at intimidating high school boys. And so they lived in the dorm and on the first floor, and there were 4 floors. And so our job was to try to get these boys to go to bed. These high school boys are living there for 6 weeks in the summer. They're away from mommy and daddy, and they want to stay up all night. And because they stay up all night, Dan, we stay up all night. So we're sitting out Hoffman Hall. Central College people will know Hoffman Hall. Tiny little cracker box rooms, and each floor had a little patio or whatever you want to call it, a balcony.
Right.
And my friend Marty Chips and I, Joe Sample, Bree Minders, we're out there.
You always remember names.
I don't always, but there's a moment in my life where my memory's better
Yeah.
than it is now.
I know how that goes.
So we're sitting outside on the balcony and we're just staring out into nothing. And it's like 1 a.m. and we're just, will you guys please go to bed? And the guys are like, yeah, but they're playing grab acid or whatever. And I don't know what made me do this, Dan. I really don't. To this day, I have no idea. But I have to set this up physically so you understand. Hoffman Hall faces, the balconies face south. Oh, God, I hope I get this right. South.
Okay.
And there's a large kind of grassy area. And then there's another dorm that you can see clearly is named Goss. Goss is closed in the summertime. Okay. In fact, we always warn the high school kids, don't go into Goss Hall. That is off limits. Okay. So they respect that. So we're sitting there. Marty's here, and we're just wanting to go to bed. And for some reason, I looked at Marty, and I kind of under low voice, I said, Marty, did you see that? And he looked at me, and I don't know what made Marty do this, but he totally bought into this. He didn't know what I was doing.
Oh, he
and I didn't
wasn't
know.
in on it.
He wasn't, but he had this intuition.
He picked up on it.
He picked up on it. He said, I don't know, shoot. I don't know what that was or something. Well, a couple of students behind us heard us, and they said, what'd you see? I said, nothing. Never mind. I didn't see anything. No, really? What did you see? And I just said, well, guys, I don't want to, make a big deal out of it, but I swear I saw somebody standing in that window over there in Goss Hall. But that can't be because, it's closed. There's nobody there in the summertime, so I'm probably just tired and seeing things. About 5-10 minutes later, Bree, who's one of the other counselors, said, all right, guys, I'm going to bed. Guys, let's go to bed. So Bree leaves. He walks down the back stairway, walks all the way around where nobody saw him, and he had keys to Goss because he was some sort of security person for work study. He went into Goss, walked into the room on the second floor that we were looking at, and all of a sudden he just stood up in the window. Okay, all the lights in the hallways in Goss were on, but none of the room lights. And
So it
all
just
the doors were
silhouetted
open.
him.
So you see the silhouette of a guy standing there. All of a sudden, these kids freak. There he is! There he is! And I'm like, guys, just calm down. And we're just, trying not to make a big deal out of it. So as soon as he appears, 5 seconds later, he disappears. He sneaks back in, comes back, stands there like he'd been there the whole time. And I didn't know it was him, so I'm a little freaked out at this point, too. At this point on this balcony, we've got like 40 high school boys. They're all crowded into this balcony. What did you guys see? And the boys that were there that saw it were explaining, we saw somebody stand up there. So just to add some context to it, I made up a story. And the story was, and you know, in today's world, this is really bad, but, you know, I was 20 years old. I didn't know. I said, you know, guys, if I'm not mistaken, that was the room that a boy took his own life in last year. And nobody lived there after that. You know, so, you know, it was a terrible thing, and I didn't know him, you know, but so as they closed that room off, and nobody lived there after that. So I don't know who that even could be. I don't know.
Wasn't there something about a cake too?
Yeah, and I'm gonna get to that. That was the next day. So I don't know what time it was. 3 a.m, 3:30. And kids are still out there looking.
So you really helped get them in bed.
I really did. I really did. So finally we get them to bed. The next day, here they're trudging out to breakfast at 7:30. Their eyes are all droopy. They're so tired. Well, Marty and I and some of the other guys and Joe, we get some of the teachers involved now. These are regular high school teachers that work there in the summer. Guys like you who would be in on some fun like this, okay? So all day this is spiraling out of control, and everybody's talking, and I couldn't believe what I saw, and it was, you know, some kids went to the library, and they asked, apparently, some person that worked at the library, did somebody kill themselves in Goss Hall, the second floor? And allegedly, they were told yes. Now, I don't know. I mean, who knows? But that became part of the lore, the story that got out of control. So now we have confirmation about my stupid bullshit that I just thought of has legs now. It has been confirmed that there was a suicide and in that room. Okay, so all day this is being talked about. That night at curfew, here they all are on the same balcony. I can't believe it didn't collapse of all the weight. They're crowded on there. Marty and I were there, but we know now what's going to happen.
Were you on the balcony as well?
Yeah, I know. That's a concern. That's a concern. I wasn't quite as tremendous at that point in college.
You were tremendous.
I was, but not, you know. But so here they are. They're out there for an hour, 2 hours. It's going to be about midnight, and we're telling them, guys, would you just go to bed? There's not, you know, what do you think's going to happen? I don't know, but we're going to stay up. So around midnight or so, all of a sudden, one of the teachers had crawled up in there, and all of a sudden he stands up. Okay, and all the kids are freaking out. Oh my God, there he is! And they're just freaking. And then all of a sudden, another teacher stands up behind him, and he has something that looks like an axe or something, and he hits and you can only see his silhouette. It's the stupidest thing ever. Marty and I we're dying laughing because we're like, they're never going to believe this, but of course they believed it because they wanted to believe it. And people are just freaking. Kids are just freaking out. Well, we got Art involved, the dorm guy. He's like 40 something at this point. So for these high school kids, he's an old guy like we are now to high school kids. He comes out in his robe, which is great. He comes out in his robe to the yard. What's going on out here? You know, little fella.
He's going off Full Metal Jacket.
He's pissed.
Why is Private Pile out of his boat?
Why aren't you kicking Private Pile's ass? Yeah, I mean, so he comes out there, and we're like, you know, I'm down there. A guy named Kevin Boyer was down there. Marty. We're explaining to him calmly all this bullshit that we had set up, and the kids are freaking. They're hysterical. Okay. And Art's like, I don't want to hear another word. I'm going to go over there and see what's going on. And we're like, Art, don't go over there. Don't do it. So Art walks over there, marches across the grass, goes in the side door. We can see him go in the side door. Marches up. We see lights being turned on. He walks into that room, turns on the light, opens the window, leans out and goes, there's nothing in here. And just as he does, the teacher appeared in the room right above him. 50 high school kids are like, he's right above you! And they're just flipping out. And he's like, what? I can't. Just go to bed. And he slams the window down and marches back down, you know. And, of course, all the kids are screaming at him when he gets back. He was standing right above you and all this stuff. And he said, all right, I've had enough. Everybody be quiet. The next kid that says a word, I'm going to send home. I'm calling your parents. I'm driving you home tonight. Go to bed. So they're all scared to death of Art. So everybody goes to bed, and Marty and I are in my room or his room, and we're just giggling our asses off. Okay, I go into one of my students' room, the room of one of my students, and he's under his desk, crying. Wow. So I tell him, and I can't. I want to say his name was Song. He hadn't been in our country very long, I don't think, and his English wasn't great. Good kid. And I explained to him that we were faking. And he did not believe me. I saw it. I know you saw it, but it was bullshit. We made it up. No, I saw it. So he got a pillow, and I think I ended up having like 8 or 9 kids sleeping on my floor in my tiny little
They
dorm room.
probably could send you some bills for some therapy or something.
Yes. I forgot the cake part, which is probably anticlimactic, but
yeah, it was a nice little
it was
detail.
a little, little
stuck
icing on the
with me.
cake, so to speak. This was the first or second week of June that this happened, and the dorms had just been vacated at the end of May, but they hadn't cleaned them yet. Okay, we told the kids that the student who had lived in that room was named Mike or something. We just made up a name. We don't even know what it was. Apparently, one of the kids during the day went into the room, and there was part of a birthday cake in the room left because there's garbage all over. They hadn't cleaned the rooms. And at Central College, on your birthday, the cooks made you a cake. It was really nice. It was really nice. And it was a half-eaten birthday cake with M.I. on it. Happy birthday, M.I. And that was enough. It was enough evidence.
Could have been an M.
Could have been. It might have been Nick. It could have been whatever. But that added to it. Oh my God, his birthday cake was still in the room. I mean, it makes no logical sense. But it was.
That's a good one, man.
It was a great. We had him for 2 straight days, and then the third morning, we all got up in front of everybody at breakfast and told everybody it was a bunch of bullshit.
You know they probably still tell that story.
Oh, they still do. And you know when we told them it was bullshit, you know what most of the students did?
What?
Guess.
Oh, I knew.
I knew it the whole time. Yeah, that's why you look like you haven't slept in a week. That's
Yeah.
what you do it the whole time. So
I did a Halloween prank that went probably a little far. In hindsight, looking back
sideways.
on it, it probably wasn't a good idea. But I feel like the statute of limitations has probably gone by far enough.
Oh, so
but
this is something that you could have been terminated for. Terminated
I
employment.
don't know, Mr. Administrator. I don't know all your
I'll be the judge
fancy
of that,
rules.
but you do have statute of limitations. So.
Well, I'm going to just say this. This may or may not have happened. How about that? All right.
Okay.
Some people say it did. Some people aren't so sure. But
okay.
this was when I may or may not have been teaching 6th grade. Okay. So I just, I liked making it cool for them. And the science lab was in the middle of the building, so there's no windows. You could get that bad boy pretty dark. And I
Okay.
brought from home some cool Halloween stuff, decorations and some lights to make it a little spooky.
Okay.
I had some music going. I told them, I want you guys to stay in the classroom. I want you
Here's where I already can see at least a note in your file at this point.
What?
Right.
Jeez, what a hard ass. At such and such time, I want you guys to come down to the science lab quietly and just single file come down. I guarantee you they did too.
Sure.
But anyway, that gave me time to get it all set up. Plus, there was a closet in there, right? Pretty decent sized closet, which I was hiding in when they came in. And
6th graders, Danny?
yeah.
Okay. 11-year-olds.
So I start making some noises in there, and I can hear some nervous giggling, and then, I bang on it a little more, and a couple of them come over, and then I jump out. I'm like, ah! And that was kind of the distraction. So then I start telling them the ghost story, right?
Okay.
And by the way, when I shut the door and you put some construction paper on the window, man, it's dark. Now, the whole premise of this ghost story was that the school was built on Indian burial grounds.
Of course. Native American.
There you go. Whatever the right way to say it is.
That's not the preferred
There were
nomenclature.
still some big mounds of dirt next to the
There
school,
are. I know.
the hypothetical school, and I said that they're out there,
Right.
and one of the elders came in and said, if you build this school here, and then this is a long ghost story,
But of course, for hundreds of years, we've completely disregarded what Native Americans want when it comes to their land. So why would we listen to him?
you're messing up my story.
All right, my bad. My fault.
So
My fault.
I told him, I work here late at night sometimes, and I hear noises. And so one night I started following the noises, and I came down here. The noises were clearly coming from that closet I was just in. And I went in there, and what I saw, and I just started growing gray hair in my goat, and I'm like, that's the next day I had this gray hair. And I go, here's the thing. If anyone wants to go in there to see what it was.
You're fired, Dan.
Hold on. You can, but here's the deal. And they're all, I'll do it. I'll do it. I go, yeah, well, let's get one thing straight. I don't want any phone calls from mommy if you go in there and you're all scared. Like, I'm serious.
Did you bring a pair of gym shorts? Because you're going to need them.
So I said, I'm going to send you in there in pairs of 4. And I had a flashlight. I go, when you go in, you can turn the flashlight on. And I had changed the batteries so they wouldn't work when they got in there. So they go in, shut the door, and you can hear them go, turn the light on. I'm trying to. We'll turn on. The whole time I had this associate, I won't say her name, had been in there the whole time. From the time I was in there, and her hair is down like this. Is scary. She turns the flashlight on her and goes, ah! And and I had also said, when you come out, you can't say what you saw because it'll wreck it for everybody else. So you hear him pound on the door, let us out, let us out. Open up the door, flashlight falls down, batteries are flying all over. I shut the door, and these were the tough boys that went first, and I'm like, who's next? No one else.
Nobody wants.
That was it. We called it good.
Any phone calls from parents?
Nope, not one. Hey, you know what? That was a good experience for them, I think.
Yeah, right, right, yeah. Teaches them about trust and their elders and people in authority
They loved
positions.
it.
And
Then I had one of them at the harbor, and I had forgotten that he had been there when I did this. I was telling the story to my students, and he goes, yeah, I remember that. I peed my pants a little bit.
I wish we could mention names, but we really
No, and honestly, I just made that entire story up. I didn't really.
can't. Yeah, right. Good one, Dan. You're very creative.
So,
That's a great one, buddy.
what else?
Where we
Yeah.
at time-wise there, Beck?
32 minutes.
Okay, that's not bad. That's
All
not
right.
bad.
It's not bad.
Well, I was telling a friend, a cousin actually, a harbor story, and there's just so many, but it's so hard because it hasn't been that long ago, and it's hard to tell stories without including names, and then that would cause embarrassment or worse. But I was
Or
telling
get me in trouble.
or get you in trouble. I can't get in trouble anymore, but you could.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about the story of a particular Bible character of the Bible that we saw during, and I told him that story, and that could have got me. That's on the list, our mythical list of things that would get us all fired from the
Yeah.
harbor. It wasn't mythical, was it, Dan? Did you really keep that list,
Me? No.
Eric?
What list?
For our listeners, for the 6 years that we worked together at the Harbor Building in Altoona before the powers that be closed us down for money reasons, we had it going on pretty good there. We had a list every time somebody said or did something that was questionable professionally. We said, "Oh, that's going on the list," and Brenda was there, and Eric, and O to start with, and some of those guys. But apparently, I'm
You just
getting,
don't want anyone in the room that's not on the list.
That's right, because you have leverage against them.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there are some really bad things said and done that made the list, but all in the name of collegiality, bonding, team building.
Well,
And I call it gallows humor, actually, because when you're
yeah.
working in alternative education, some of the bad news kind of keeps rolling in, and you have to, and there's a lot of good news too, and that's what kept me hooked on it, is that you have all this bad news, and then suddenly you get some great news, and it made it all worth it. But sometimes during the dark days there, you needed that humor to kind of get you out of it, and that's why they call it gallows humor.
Yep.
So, but anyway, yeah, I probably shouldn't even introduce that story and not told it, because, there'd be people upset if I did, but that would have got me in trouble. So, anyway,
Yeah, it was a good place though.
yeah, it was a great place. Had a great time, and I think it's a great place for kids to learn, and
It was easier for him to establish a new identity coming
Right.
to a new building.
Right.
So.
that's the key to alternative ed. is
Can't
you
go
need-
back in the past though. We're
That's
in,
right.
We're in the present.
Yep,
so.
you're the present. So, but all right, man. Well,
Happy Halloween.
happy Halloween. The people out there that say this is their favorite holiday, I think this is just a kind of a bullshit holiday that I never really liked, even when the kids were little,
Hey,
and
you
I
know
don't
what I
like it
used
now.
to do? Just to be a little dick. When you kind of inevitably get kind of grouped up with some other kids.
Yeah.
Did you ever steal their joke? Like
And go first.
right before them, and then you go back and go, well, they're waiting.
Well, you know that the whole trick or treat thing is just a Des Moines thing.
I know we were talking about that at lunch today.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
yeah, totally a Des Moines thing, and I didn't know that growing up.
I just googled this. Beggars Night
Yeah,
is only a thing. I know it's in St. Louis too.
they have it in St. Louis. Did they steal it from Des Moines?
No, it's actually more well known in St.
Hey, do you know where the horse goes when it gets sick? It goes to the hospital. No, I'm just kidding. When horses are sick, they get shot.
They get shot. You know what also is a Des Moines thing? Exclusively a Des Moines thing?
What?
Dan, when you look out in a field and you see a little tiny, little squirrel-like animal pop out of a
squinty?
hole, yeah,
That's only Des Moines?
that's only Des Moines.
I knew it was.
Only in Des Moines do we call them squinties, or is it squinty?
There's no T. Squinty.
See, I've always thought it was squinty. Now,
That's
of course, I
because you
can't
have a
hear.
bad hearing
Did
problem.
you say that telling jokes is only Des Moines?
Yes.
Yeah, that's exclusively Des Moines.
Yes, Quinn is offering that they also do that in St. Louis.
No, I can't remember. I googled it just Des Moines.
Just Des Moines, where we tell jokes.
Having it where it's the night before is St. Louis too.
That's probably why we have so many funny people here in Des Moines.
right.
You know, we got
That's right.
started early.
That's right. We tell jokes at Halloween, and we call ground squirrels squinties.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool too.
All right,
right, man.
Well, this is a lock.
Good
That's
episode,
good.
I think. I think it's okay.
Yep.
I've had several people ask me when this new episode, so it's good
Really?
that we're getting back on track. You don't have anybody? I get a message from the same guy. It's almost like clockwork. It's like he knows when we're going to record,
Well, that's
and he
awesome.
sends me a message. It's usually like a picture of like Jeffrey Lebowski when he's like waiting. It's always like something funny.
Yeah.
But I have probably 4 or 5 people that send me
We
messages.
should
Hey,
have give us some ideas of stuff you want us to talk about. Like Kyle, he
Yeah.
mentioned he would dig a episode going into Breaking Bad because you had referenced that and you were prepping for that
I love
movie.
Breaking
We haven't
Bad.
talked about
that movie El Camino.
Yeah, so
Okay.
give us some ideas.
Yeah.
Shoot the email to
TremendousFatAss@gmail.com.
ginormousfatass@gmail.com.
No, that is not correct. TremendousFatAss@gmail.com.
Yeah, that's what
It's
I
a
said.
valid email address. We will take all suggestions, all questions, and we will.
I have a suggestion.
Yeah?
Go f yourself.
Yourself, Danny.
All right.